Ayo, welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show, presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson, the host of the CHGO White Sox podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. And alongside me today, Herb and Vinny are out of state enjoying their All-Star break. So I got White Sox friend, Twitter friend, Steve-O joining me from the SonsOfHahnarchy Podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at DrunkSox.
Shy Sox fan.
Drunk Shy Sox fan on Twitter. I told you I'd mess it up, and I didn't mess it up in the pregame, so when it counts, I'm screwing it up.
It's all good.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great, man, especially after that White Sox winner.
There you go.
Doing freaking fantastic.
11-0, the Sox win, and they improved to 46-46 at the All-Star break. So, Steve-O, the Sox are sitting at 500 at the All-Star break, third in the division. They are 3 games back of Minnesota after taking 3 of 4 of Minnesota in this series. How you feeling as a White Sox fan at the All-Star break, being 46-46 and being in third place?
Absolutely.
At the AL Central?
So, I have talked ad nauseum about how this team, after a rough start, after consistently disappointing us, saying, okay, there have been some rough stretches, schedule hasn't been easy, team hasn't been healthy, they've got to be at 500 at the break. They've got to be at 500 at the break. And guess what they are? They're 500 at the break, ladies and gentlemen. So not only is this just a huge win in the fact that you absolutely crush a division opponent 11-0, but now you go into the All-Star break, you're a 500 ball club, you start absolutely fresh, and you're only a few games back of a division lead, which is absolutely enormous for this team. And I am just very, very happy that, you took 3 out of 4 from a team that is at the top of your division right now. Enough said.
And you hit a ton of home runs. You hit a ton of home runs in this game. You hit a ton of home runs this series. And that's been kind of the deciding fact of this Sox team so far, is the fact that the power hasn't been there. Before, I think this week, they were the same amount of home runs as Kansas City had, which is just pathetic. That's a team that's like 25th in the league at home runs, and the Sox are there starting to be tied with them, but you have a win like 11-0, and that run differential starts to look a lot better. You have a win where it's 11-4 against the Angels. It looks a lot better. The game that you won on Sunday against the Giants at the start of July, it really helps that run differential. Now they're at -14, and just a couple weeks ago we were looking at -54. So this has been a nice turnaround for the Sox, and they've been looking really good ever since June.
Right, absolutely. And right here in the comments we've got, life is better when the Sox hit ding-dongs, and it's even better when you hit ding-dongs against the Twinkies. But ball go far, team go far. And you know what? It's one thing if this team was built to be a high on base, high contact team, but they're not. This team is built to be a power team. This team needs to hit the ball far and hit the ball out of the park in order to be successful. And you saw it this series. A lot of power out of these guys in their victories. So kudos to the offense for finally stepping up and doing what needed to be done without Robert for most of it, without Jimenez. Adam Engel, sleeper of this weekend. Absolutely awesome series out of him.
And also, the White Sox now have 3 players with 10 home runs or more. Robert has 12, Abreu has 11, and Andrew Vaughn hit his 10th today. So at least you're seeing some double digits creep up. Maybe you'll get a 20 home run guy out of a Sox player this year. That'd be great. But Steve-O, you usually do a thing on Twitter. People can follow you on Twitter at DrunkSox fan, and you usually give out your final 5. So why don't you run down the most important 5 things that you saw from today's game and what it means for the Sox this year?
Absolutely, and I love that the graphic here. Shout out to Steven, the man with the golden voice. Is that what it is? The gold?
Yes, that's what right. Apparently his new nickname is.
That's
you
right.
started calling him.
But I'm gonna run this down as I normally do. Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your man Steve-O. Today's final 5, absolute banger out of the White Sox today. Point number 1, Dylan Cease. What an absolute fucking outing out of him. Fastest White Sox to reach 500 Ks in his career. Just absolutely incredible outing today. absolute incredible first half of the year out of him. I'm hoping as we talked about on the pregame show, hopefully this gives him a little chip on his shoulder, not making the All-Star game, to just continue to ravage folks, because I got money down on him to win the Cy Young this year. Point number 2, Yoan Moncada. This series, we've seen a lot better plate approach out of him, a lot better contact, hard hit balls, excellent work out of him. That's my point number 2. He's absolutely back. This is my guy. I will defend him till the day I die. Maybe he's not a top third baseman in the league like Herb or our guy Herb says, but you know what?
But hey, when he's
still solid,
when he's hitting 107 mile per hour balls, 437 feet, you could say he's back.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Point number 3, a guy who has been here and will be here to stay, Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn is a pure pro hitter. This guy just goes out and just absolutely hits the ball. He rakes. He is in this next level pedigree for our first baseman. I mean, you've got Frank Thomas, Paul Konerko, Jose Abreu, and now Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn is going to be that next dude in line, and I'm very, very excited to see that. Point number 4, this one goes out to Twins manager Rocco Baldelli. Thank you so much for letting Chris Archer go a third time through the rotation. Chris Archer does not go the third time through the rotation this year. His stuff just is not that good, okay? Thank you for letting him face TA, my pick to click today, with 2 outs, 2 runners on. Smack it. Absolute. 2 RBI. That's what we want to see out of Tim Anderson today. And thank you, Rocco, for keeping Chris Archer in. Point number 5, and I'll keep it simple. It's damn good to beat Minnesota.
And shout out to Herb for that one. I hate those damn Twins. And to see this happen has been real damn good. Let's break down a little bit of these final 5. Dylan Cease is the fastest to reach 500 Ks in White Sox franchise history. He patches Chris Sale. Chris Sale did it in 472 and a third innings pitched. He got to 500 career strikeouts. Dylan Cease did it in about 399. So real impressive from Dylan Cease today. And then the other one we got for you is Andrew Vaughn. Steve-O mentioned it, that he's a pro hitter. Andrew Vaughn in this series. On Thursday, he went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs. On Friday, he went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. On Saturday, he went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. And today, he went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. And Alex Potno says it. Vaughn is the short hurt, and can you go back, Steven? I just want to read the actual graphic there, because he did something Frank Thomas just did. Frank Thomas is the one player in Sox history in a 4-game series to have 2 RBIs in those game series. So Andrew Vaughn is the first White Sox player with 2 RBIs in each game of a 4-game series since Frank Thomas did it in July 10th to the 13th in 1997. So Andrew Vaughn is definitely a pro hitter on that one. And then you mentioned Yoan Moncada. Last 9 games, he's hitting over 323, an OBP of 400, a slugging percentage over 450. That's an OPS of 850. That guy's back.
We will take that out of Moncada, especially with, and I know people are like, he needs to swing the bat more. No. Let him figure it out at the plate. Honestly, I would love to see Moncada walking more, especially in the 2 slot in this lineup, because you got lineup protection behind him. You've got guys that are going to be able to drive him in. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need to go up there stressing, thinking he needs to hit a home run every time. This isn't 2019 Moncada, okay? Plate approach is totally different. He's going to strike out less. He should walk more because of that. And on top of that, he's going to give you top-of-the-line defense, okay? And that's what we want to see out of him. So keep that up, Yoan. That's my guy.
And it's funny that you mentioned the protection part of it, too, because it wasn't even at this point in the game, but I think they were talking about, when you have Vaughn up at the plate and Abreu behind him, you have to pitch to him. Yep. And just like I think whoever was giving up home runs for the Twins, I think it was Joe Smith. Joe Smith ended up pitching to Vaughn after the Moncada home run, and Vaughn ended up taking him deep. But Stoney mentioned, part of the reason you have to pitch to him is because you don't want to put on a guy for Jose Abreu.
Exactly.
Right? Who's the White Sox best player right now. So
it's way better than having him bat in the second leadoff spot in the 9-hole.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Hell yeah. We got Leary Garcia for a reason. He could be down on the 9-hole. Even who went deep today, Josh Harrison. Josh Harrison at the 9-hole. He's been the best 9-hole hitter in the MLB this year. So, I mean, you could keep him down there. Keep Moncada up, especially if he's walking. 4 walks in the last 9 games for Moncada. And then Adam Engel, too. Steve-O mentioned it. Adam Engel's been real good filling in for Luis Robert. 7 for 13 in this Twins series, filling in for Luis Robert. So Adam Engel has been fantastic this series as well. Really fun stuff. You love to see the White Sox finish strong and finish hard the first half. In June, they had 5.2 runs per scored per game, and I think in July it's even above that. So the Sox have been scoring. The Sox have been putting and stepping on guys' throats and teams' throats, and that's been real fun to watch. Beer Garden Jim's wondering, do you remember when you wanted to trade Andrew Vaughn?
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adam Frazier, was it?
No. It was for. I'm not going to say who it was for.
Who was it for? Come on, Steve-O.
Frankie Montas.
That's not that bad. That's better than Adam Frazier.
Yeah.
I mean, Herb wanted to trade Andrew Vaughn for Adam Frazier.
No, not Adam Frazier. No.
Frankie hey, maybe you'll want to trade Andrew Vaughn a little bit later because we'll go into some trade rumors.
Vaughn's off the trade block.
And Montas is on it. So, if you want to get a deal done, maybe you'll have to give up one of your best hitters.
Yeah, no thanks.
Let's go to our best pitcher, though, because Dylan Cease continues his dominance. People are upset he's not an all-star, and I understand why. Liam Hendricks is an all-star. We talked about this on the pregame, but Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander will be inactive. So Jordan Romano and Liam Hendricks were named to the All-Star game. Congratulations to Liam. And I know fans are still upset about Dylan Cease not making the All-Star game. Let's go through some of the numbers because he's been incredible this year. In today's game, he went 7 innings pitched. He allowed 1 hit, and it was like a bloop into left field. No earned runs, 2 walks allowed, and 8 Ks, so he went over for Steve-O and Steven. And then Chris Archer today, 4 2/3. He went through 3 times the order, allowed 4 earned runs, gave up 5 hits, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. But Cease was electric.
Yeah. No, I mean, Cease showed that he is an ace. Like, he is a future ace. I'll tell you right now, and this is a debatable topic, and it might get me in some trouble here. But I think right now the White Sox have 2 potential aces in their rotation. Dylan Cease is one of those guys.
I think you could just say he's an ace
and
now.
I think he has at this point this year been that ace this year. I mean, he's the de facto ace.
The other one you'd be lumping in there is Kopech,
right? Kopech, yes. The case is out on Gio, but that's for another conversation. But Cease was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you've seen this time and time again this year. Outside of, I'd say, the Yankees start. And the funny thing about the Yankees start this year for Cease is he was striking dudes out left and right. Mm-hmm. He was just also giving up the long ball. So as long as he continues to kind of, and I think he was just being a little bit too fastball heavy that game. I'd have to look at the charts, but a little bit too much emphasis on the fastball, not enough breaking ball. And I think he's really starting to mix his pitch as well.
Yeah.
And using them in the right spots.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. Let's look at his pitch mix from today because part of this revolution for Dylan Cease, part of him being this effective has been his slider. He threw that the most today. 48 sliders, 51% of his pitches today were sliders. He used his four-seam fastball 36 times, but that was for 38% of the time. He used his knuckle curve only 9% of the time, but the slider and fastball were dominant today. On 29 swings on his slider, he got 15 swings and misses. So 52% of the times the Twins tried to swing at Dylan Cease's slider, they swung and missed. That is insane. That is top of the league stuff. And then when you pair that with a fastball that's 90 miles per hour, you'll also get guys swinging and missing half the percent of the time. 6 whiffs on 12 swings on his four-seam fastball. And we mentioned a little bit in the pregame, the Twins haven't seen this slider from Cease. This is the first outing Cease has had versus the Twins this year, and it showed. I mean, you could see why he's been getting so many huge K numbers because this slider has been so effective and so dominant, and now these Twins who haven't seen him at all show you it. Like, they know his stuff, they know his patterns, and then he comes out and he has this refined slider that he's been able to locate and pinpoint and be accurate with it, and guys have not been able to stand the test at all.
100%. And I think that's why Cease is so successful against guys like Correa and Buxton. With Buxton today and the 2 strikeouts that Buxton had, he didn't rely on using a fastball to try and put away hitters, right? Whereas a lot of guys in those cases, maybe it's a 2-2 count, and they're going to try and put away Buxton on a high fastball. You're not going to do that on Byron Buxton. His hands are way too quick. So using that slider when a dude's sitting fastball is huge. And then Correa, was fooled big time as well on a couple occasions where he's looking for fastball first pitch and instead Cease sneaks in that slider. It's got to be one of the best pitches in baseball right now.
It is. I mean, by run value, by StatCast run value, it is the best pitch in baseball, better than Corbin Burns' cutter, and that guy's won a Cy Young before. I mean, it's been truly dominant, and the thing too is he just hasn't used it the same amount that guys use their cutter. I mean, Corbin Burns uses that about 50% of the time. You see Cease use it about 50% of the time today, his slider, but I think around this year, I think it's still around 40%. So this isn't even a pitch that he is showcasing as much, and when you are a pitcher, you want to be using your best pitch more, and we have seen Cease use that more and more and more, and shout out to Ethan Katz for unlocking him. You mentioned the two aces that they have in Michael Kopech and Dylan Cease. I've said it before, I always thought that Cease was more of the guy than Kopech, and of course, I'm going to be bringing that up right now when he looks this good. But where do you stand? I mean, are you still you still got your are you still excited about Kopech? Are you still got those rose-colored glasses on about Kopech, or are you a little bit concerned?
They might be rose-colored glasses or lenses, if that's what we want to call them. But I just think Kopech doesn't depend on velo. Okay, so that's the thing with Kopech is this is a guy who started off in the major leagues and he's pumping 101, right? As a starter, right? They're throwing him out there. He's throwing 101, and nobody can maintain that for an entire career, right? So obviously he has to revolutionize himself. And I think Michael Kopech has done an excellent job of refinding himself, not needing to just pump 100 past guys, but he's got so much movement on that fastball. As long as he figures out location, as long as he figures out control, the velo is there, the movement is there. It's just figuring out, hey, this breaking pitch, I need to release it at this point instead of, where I'm releasing it now. It's going to take time. I think Michael Kopech is one of those pitchers where the raw talent is there. It just needs to be a little bit more refined.
Well, I think he still needs another pitch because the slider is good, and he does have that fastball, but when the fastball doesn't have that velocity, I do wonder why they don't start working on a cutter with him, because he could start slowing. That slider's good, right? But if he starts throwing more of a harder slider and he gets that fastball that tails into righties and then he gets a cutter that tails away from righties, and then you have the slider to go on top of it and the curveball, I still feel like he needs that next pitch or that
it's like that
next
Corbin
level.
Burns cutter, right? Like Corbin Burns didn't really figure himself out until he started using that cutter, right? Until he once again, like you said, the cutter outside to righties. So if he can develop something like that, or say the two seam and the slider are the two main ones, and he mixes in a changeup or something, that could really work out for him. Yeah.
Right. And the thing with Cease right now on that slider, you usually talk about the differential between a changeup being about 10 miles per hour. That's basically where his differential between his fastball and slider is at this point. So he's basically just using it as a changeup.
No, 1,000%.
Guys are just, you mentioned it with Buxton. He's got such quick hands, but when he thinks coming out of Cease's hands, it's a fastball, that's why he's late. And that's why he's flailing at these sliders and striking out 2 times, just because he's been so damn good and he's been able to find that pitch. Today, the Twins only had 3 hits off Cease, 3 batted balls, not even hits, that were over 95 miles per hour. Those are defined as hard hits in baseball today, but his average exit velocity was 83.7. So guys were not hitting the ball hard. They were not getting good contact. They had no clue where the ball was going to be in the strike zone, and he was electric. Let's talk about his first half, because you think he should be an all-star. I think he should be an all-star.
He absolutely should be an all-star.
Steven thinks he should be an all-star, yet he's not an all-star. Most strikeouts in the first half this year, Dylan Cease is your leader at number 1 with 150. Tied for second is Shane McClanahan and Garrett Cole at 147. In fourth is Corbin Burns at 144. Aaron Nola had a good day today. He's up to 137th. In fifth place, the reigning AL Cy Young, Robbie Ray, is at 135. And Carlos Rodon, old friend, is at 131. This guy's not an all-star, Steve-O.
It's wild to me. And I had some people that were ragging on me, non-White Sox fans of mine that I grew up with, that were ragging on me for saying, oh, well, you really shouldn't care that much that Cease isn't an all-star, yada, yada, yada. Well, it's the problem is a couple of the people that were chosen over him, right? Is Blackburn still an AL All-Star?
Yes, but that's because the A's
because
are
he's
sad.
an A. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
But like he's much worse.
Even like and
Nestor Cortez.
That was my big one too. Is obviously Garrett Cole is that brand name. All-Star votes and I know the pitchers aren't voted in, but like you get those name brand people in the All-Star game. Like Liam Hendricks being chosen over Dylan Cease even, right? People want that name recognition, right? Dylan Cease may not be at that name recognition yet. I'm hoping he's going to be there by the end of the year because obviously he's my Cy Young pick. But
if history teaches us anything, last year's Cy Young, Robbie Ray, he wasn't an All-Star.
Right.
That's
so
very
maybe
true.
this is just the formula to getting a Cy Young award here.
I hope so. I hope that the math seems to check out.
We'll be doing a lot of studying into what players were all-stars and didn't win the Cy Young. But, I mean, even you think of the great second halves in MLB history, 2015, Jake Arrieta, who won the Cy Young, had a fantastic second half and wasn't an all-star. So it doesn't mean anything for end-of-the-year stats. And the way that Dylan has found stuff, I think in his last 10 starts, he has a .47 ERA. So if he continues to do that, he might have an ERA sub-2 and lead the league in strikeouts. I'd be shocked if that guy, especially on an American League Central winning team, I'd be shocked if that guy doesn't win the AL Cy Young.
Yeah.
And
if Cease pitches that well and we're not an American Central, we're not the AL Central winners, then I'm just going to be absolutely beside myself. So
I think at this point, too, and we haven't asked this question just yet, are the Sox back? I think the answer is yes. And if they don't win the Central, we're back to where it was at the start of the year.
Right.
It's a disappointment. It's sad. You're 3 games back. You get to 500, and you just prove that you are clearly a much better team than the Twins in this series.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fact that their one loss is really solely because Lance Lynn had an awful start, that says a lot. That says a lot to where this team is in comparison to their talent level and how good they really are. Especially against division opponents. I'm really, really proud of this team. They really turned it around. They had a rough start in Cleveland, but all in all, fantastic work.
Yeah, and if you want to bet on the White Sox to win the AL Central, the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, and right now you get the White Sox to win the AL Central at plus 130. The Twins are at plus 105, so you could still get them their second favorite right now. This is the time. If the Sox are back in your mind, now is the time to jump on them on the PointsBet app. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all the web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from a CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from a CHGO locker, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. PointsBet's your home for live and play betting, and it just got even better. If you see an edge in the game you're watching, your favorite team is primed for a comeback, don't just watch the game, bet along with it live. There's more live betting, more live markets, and faster live cash-outs with the PointsBet app. So what are you waiting for? It's time to elevate your live betting game. You can download the PointsBet app right now and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. And again, once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services. And our next partner has a product I use literally every day. I started taking AG1 Steve-O because I started this job. They sent us the free trials, and I have continued to use and use and use my AG1s each and every day. It has a somewhat tropical, mild taste. It doesn't taste super healthy, Steve-O. So when you're taking in your health, nutrition, you're taking in your supplements for the day, you want them to taste good. You don't want to be tasting some health stuff, right? You don't want it to taste like dirt.
Absolutely.
This tastes tropical and mild and nice. And what is this stuff, you may be asking? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. I wake up feeling great. Feel energetic, I feel focused, I feel like I can take on the day. My nervous system is better. I've been less anxious since taking this stuff, and it is lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. And Athletic Greens has over 7,002 5-star reviews, so right now it is the best time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water each and every day. That's it. No needs for millions of different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO socks. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/CHGO SOX to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, Steve-O, it's time to talk about the first half. It's time to look back in the Sox first half, and I want to ask you, what makes you the most nervous? Looking at the second half, looking at what could go wrong, what has gone wrong, what makes you the most nervous about the White Sox and their ability to make the playoffs? I know we've been all,
right.
White Sox are back, they won 11-0, I get it, but what's your biggest concern for the 2022 Sox looking at the second half?
Absolutely. That they can go cold at any time.
This team can go cold?
Yes. Especially, I think about that stretch of games late, very late, like end of the month, April, where they lost 10 out of 11. And it wasn't necessarily to great opponents either. I know, like, the Angels were sprinkled in there.
Started with Cleveland, I think.
Cleveland, Kansas City, like division games too. And I think a lot of that comes down to the offense. When I talk about cold, I specifically think the bats going cold, right? This team needs to be an offensive juggernaut like they were this series if they are going to win the AL Central and maybe give us some hope when we think about October baseball.
Yeah. And hey, I think that's why, Sammy Davis is bringing up health too. I mean, it could either be coldness or, hey, if Jose Abreu, knock on wood, goes down with an injury, I mean, that could just immediately send the offense into a cold streak because that's the guy that's been producing so much. So, that's a huge concern. And if this team doesn't start walking more, and whether that be Yoan Moncada and Yasmani Grandal picking up that slack, or even Andrew Vaughn, Jose Abreu's picked up a bit of that slack. But if they don't start walking more as a team, that's going to probably lead to more and more consistent cold stretches just because you're not able to work count, get guys on base. And we've clearly seen their power issues driving those guys home. Have been an issue, but health has also been a big thing too. Lance Lynn, I think, might be someone's big concern here, and I think he can fall under that health category. He's working back from an injury, and he hasn't looked great in his first 7 starts. To be, a little bit, devil's, what's it called?
Devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. Yeah. You could see some of the guys this year start off slow. Lucas started off slow and had a little bit of an injury problem. Dylan started off a little bit slow and had a little bit of an injury problem. I think Lance can work his way back up to that point where he was. Maybe he won't be the second best pitcher or best pitcher on the team, being the first starter in a playoff series. But I would really be shocked if Lance Lynn doesn't find it or something resolving it. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about Lance Lynn, I think the case is out for me. I'm not 100% sure that he's going to work his way back to being even a league average starter at this point.
Really?
I looked at, my biggest thing is his pitches have movement. His velo is down bad. He just does not have the velocity on his pitches that you need from a guy that's throwing. I mean, I know last year his fastball percentage was about 90%, right? 90+% of the time he's throwing fastballs. For a guy that's throwing fastballs that much in Major League Baseball, you got to pump it by dudes. Or your spin rate's got to be out of this world. And I mean, he's got above average league spin rate, but it's not through the roof. So I think the case is out for Lance Lynn. I'm not too sure about him. Health is a big issue for Lance Lynn as well. I think ever since the knee injury, he just has not looked the same. And I think the knee injury also has something to do with his lack of being in shape. And he's always been a big dude.
Right.
But
he's the big bastard.
Yes, he is the big bastard. That is the nickname. But I know you think, pitcher, big guy, he doesn't have to move around a lot. Weight can play a considerable, can have it's a big thing when you're on the mound and you're pushing hard on your legs and you're putting all that weight onto your joints. I mean, you're prone to be injured again. So that's that's another big concern with Lance Lynn.
Right. Last year, his four-seam fastball was at 94 miles per hour averaging, and he hasn't even reached that average point in a single game. The highest he's reached with fastball velocity is 93.2. So, I mean, he's been well under that 94 mark each and every time. So, I mean, that's a concern. And, hopefully he's able to build it up. Maybe he's able to build it up during this All-Star break. He's able to build up some more strength, but I think him losing weight and him slimming down that frame might be a tough job for him.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
We'll see. Any other big concerns stick out to you? Health was brought up. Lance Lynn was brought up. The offense and their struggles is brought up. Are you too worried? Are you worried at all about the bullpen and the issues that they've had? I mean, obviously Joe Kelly, we saw him today. Mm-hmm. He looked iffy.
He's looked iffy all year, unfortunately.
Some injury issues. Matt Foster was good, then Matt Foster was bad. Jose Ruiz was good, then bad, then good.
For sure.
What are your thoughts on the bullpen?
Bullpens are volatile. They almost always are in baseball, which is why, if there's someone, if this season ends up becoming some failure, right? One of the first people I point the finger at is Rick Hahn because of the way the money was spent on the bullpen, right? You could have went out and you could have gotten an outfielder or a second baseman that really could solidify your lineup. Instead, you got Josh Harrison, right? And you re-signed Leury Garcia. And then you went out and spent that money on bullpen pieces when you already had bullpen pieces. So my biggest thing with the bullpen, they're volatile, but you've got a lot of pieces. You've got a lot of guys that can come in and do a solid job. Reynaldo Lopez has been really good in his current role. Liam Hendricks is an all-star for a reason. Kendall Graveman has been pretty good this year. Mm-hmm. Pretty darn good. And then Aaron Bummer, Aaron Bummer's health is a big concern. If there's one thing that I want to point out with the bullpen, it's that they don't really have a strong lefty arm.
Right.
So
you're not a Tanner Banks believer?
I am not a Tanner Banks believer, unfortunately. Definitely not a believer in his dress style, and making sure that he gets shirts that fit him correctly as well. But did you ever see that picture of him with the button popping out?
I missed that.
Yeah. It was toward the beginning of the year when he first got called up.
Wearing like extra smalls?
Oh, it was like small, and then the button was like popping off too. It's really
the European
fantastic.
cut.
I guess so. European cut, apparently.
Is Tanner European? Sounds very French.
It's an Office reference, guys. Come on.
But that's about him wearing a women's suit, right?
No.
That's not when Michael shows up.
That's a different one.
Oh, okay.
But, they don't have a lefty arm that they can depend on because right now Bummer's got the injury problems and Crochet's out for the year. I mean, you were kind of hoping for those two guys to be those dudes, and they really haven't. So I think a big thing, and I said this earlier in the year too, that Aaron Bummer's health is going to be important for this team. And if he can come back and be solid, then I have zero worries about the bullpen. But, you don't have a lefty arm, and that might be something, especially since Rick Hahn loves bullpen arms, might be something he's exploring when trade deadline comes.
I wouldn't be shocked. I think that finding a lefty arm might be difficult just because there's not a lot out there that are going to be free agents at the end of the year, and also lefties are just so accommodated. So that might be a tough find for them. But, maybe Joe Kelly's better. They brought Joe Kelly to be, they're a guy who can face righties and lefties. He still hasn't found it, but he's still trying to find it. So maybe, he finds it in September.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
But never late is better.
Right. All right. So worst part of the first half easily was the 8-game losing streak in April. I think we can all agree on that.
Right.
What was your favorite memory or favorite stretch or favorite part of the first half that comes to mind for you?
Honestly, for me personally, it was I had the opportunity to go out to California.
There you go.
And I saw 2 of the 3 games against the Angels. Saw a win and then a loss, and then I saw the sweep up in San Fran. So being able to witness them on the road and play great road baseball, because this team has been so much better on the road than they've been at home this year. Getting able to rack up those wins in my wins versus losses for the year was definitely a highlight. And I think that's also, as weird as it seems, it almost seems like it's been like a turning point for this team too. Like
you're the turning point.
Maybe I'm the turning point.
Exactly.
The turning point. No, but that road trip, because I feel like historically, and maybe this is just a feeling, but historically, it seems like the White Sox tend to get their ass kicked on the West Coast, whether it be in Oakland or Anaheim or up in Seattle. They just have never really played well on the West Coast during my lifetime. So seeing them win 4 out of 5 of the games that I went to on the West Coast, and then that brought us into the series at home against Minnesota, and morale was down a little bit then, but they picked it back up since. And I mean, honestly, right now, if this is the best I've felt as a White Sox fan the entire season.
I would have to agree. 11-7 since July, so Steve-O is the good luck charm.
Bang, bang.
But yeah, I mean, do you also know your record at games this year?
I don't. I'd have to go back and
Okay.
look.
All right, but I think I'm 1-1.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. But yeah, I think that I don't know if something clicked, but what I liked in that San Francisco series was they showed their ability to win in many different ways. They're very good at winning close games. They win that first game on Friday, 1-0 against San Francisco. Then they go out and beat Logan Webb, who's like a really good right-handed pitcher, which was shocking to see. And they win that one 5-3, and they get enough run support for Dylan Cease. And then they completely blow them out on that Sunday game, 13-4. And you just see the abilities of this team to win. And it felt like they were clicking a little bit, and then they just didn't pull it off in the cleanest way against the AL Central. They played 15 games in 14 days against the AL Central, and it wasn't super clean, but they ended strong. The fact that they win 5 of the last 6, hell fucking yeah. I mean, maybe they can turn this into something special. 3 games back of the division right now, and I think this is easily the high note of the Sox season, even though I felt like it could have been better, especially with the way they started off against Minnesota, losing 2 of 3, and then only splitting with Detroit. Maybe I'm just being greedy here, but
No. Detroit's definitely one of those teams that you should at least take 3 out of 4 of, if or 2 out of 3 of every single time. I mean, they're not a good baseball team right now at all. But this division is very grabbable. I mean, right now, this division should be theirs. I mean, if they play baseball to the best of their ability, if they play like they did the last 6 days, this should be theirs to take.
Yeah, and they've been saying we're going to play to the back of the baseball card at some point. Maybe that was this.
There you go.
Maybe that's this past series. 8-7 in those 15 games against the AL Central in those 15 games in those 14 days. So they finished above 500, which is exactly what they needed, and they finished the All-Star break in the first half at 46-46. Excited to look at the second half, look at who the White Sox are going to be playing. Excited to look at who they might possibly draft or what they're looking at in the draft at 26 today. We'll be looking at some trade partners as well. We'll get all into that, but we have to tell you about PointsBet. Got to download the PointsBet app. It's the best way to support CHGO. It's one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. You'll be signing up with the fastest sportsbook, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. Steve-O's mentioned it. He's got a bet for Dylan Cease to win the AL Central, or AL Cy Young, at plus 1,400. Right now on PointsBet, you can get Dylan Cease to win the AL Central Cy Young, or not AL Central Cy Young, AL Cy Young at plus 1,400. So I think it's a great deal. I think it's
of value there.
A real good value right there. $5 to win 70. I think he could put himself into this position. He clearly has found something that works for him. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. But if he's their ace, I think Johnny Cueto's been real good. I think Lucas Giolito's figuring it out. Michael Kopech has proven that he can be good enough even when he doesn't have that elite velocity. And if Lance Lynn's your 5th best pitcher or 5th worst pitcher, it's not that bad,
Yeah.
And Davis Martin's been pretty good. So let's see if the White Sox can actually win the AL Central. Let's look at teams that have won the division that were at or below 500 at the All-Star break, and this is since 2005. The 2008 Dodgers did it. They won the NL West at 84-78, and they were 46-49 at the All-Star break. 2012 Athletics won the AL West at 94-68 after being 43-43 at the All-Star break. The 2013 Dodgers were 92-70, winning the NL West in the 2013 year. They finished to 47-47 at the All-Star break. The 2017 Cubs finished the All-Star break 43-45, ended up winning the NL Central at 92-70. The 2019 Cardinals won the NL Central after finishing the All-Star break at 44-44, and they finished 91-71. And the 2021 Braves, who ended up winning the World Series, finished the All-Star break 44-45 and ended up taking the NL East at 88-73. You talked about what the Sox strategy should be at the trade deadline. You said it should be similar to the Braves, but we see even the 2017 Cubs, they kind of just rolled with the talent they had after winning a World Series, and they ended up winning the Central. Do you think 90 wins is possible for the Sox here, or do you think that that might be a little too greedy for Sox fans?
I think 90 is a lot. I mean, that means you're going out and you're playing
44-28 the rest of the way.
Thank you. 44-28 for the rest of the season. That's top-notch baseball right there. Yeah, that's really good. 90, I think, is a stretch.
That's like the White Sox playing on the road.
It is. Honestly, can we just play the rest of the games on the road? Forget the home games. We'll go out and travel. Here's the thing. You saw right there the Braves were an 88-win team last year, right? I think the White Sox could win 88.
Yeah, I mean,
an 87-88 probably wins this division.
Yeah, that's about a 60% win percentage. If they go 44-28, that's a 61% win percentage. So it's still not like crazy. You're winning 60% of your games, which is, a lot. But also, this is a team that is facing or has the easiest schedule to the end of the year. And if you're really thinking that this team's going to be clicking and they're going to be living up to the back of the baseball card and they're going to be making additions, then I think that this team will definitely still be in it for the AL Central. I wavered a little bit, especially, in the middle of June, but I feel like I'm coming back that this team is definitely the best still in the AL Central. The Twins don't have that pitching. I don't think the Guardians have enough power to keep up with the White Sox.
I agree.
The White Sox are hitting home runs. This should be an easy win for them in the AL Central. Let's look at the remaining schedule for the Sox. Against playoff caliber teams, they have 7 games left. They got games against the Astros and Padres. Then they got 9 games left against the Twins, 10 games left against the Guardians, and then they got 12 games against the Mariners, Orioles, Rangers, and Angels. I would honestly probably move the Mariners and Orioles over to division contenders. At this point, they're better than mediocre. But we made this whole thing a long time ago. And rebuilt teams: D-backs, Rockies, Tigers, Royals, and Athletics. 32 games left against them. So real nice seeing most of your games are against the Twins and Guardians, teams that you need to take advantage of and you need to beat, and then 32 games against real bad teams.
Yeah. I mean, take care of business. I mean, you've got 19 games against the Twins or the T's, Minnesota, as well as 10 against Cleveland. Those are your do or die games right there, in my opinion. I mean, those are the games where you got to take care of business. I mean, you got to take at least 5 of those games from Minnesota and at least 6 of those games from Cleveland. Like, you got to be over 500 against those teams moving forward, and then obviously whoop up on those 32 games where you've got bad teams. I mean, you got some really bad teams in that mix. Those are games, if they're 3-game sets, look to sweep. Don't be content with taking 2 out of 3. Don't throw out a Sunday lineup that is garbo. Like, it's time. It's do or die time. I think, and I got to say this. We were ragging on Tony. We've been ragging on Tony La Russa for multiple reasons. Everybody has throughout the White Sox universe, Twitter sphere. You have it, but the lineups have been a lot more consistent. I mean, we're starting to see kind of the same guys in the same spots within the batting order every single day. And what is the result of that? Offensive production.
Yes.
Guys are actually in the spots where they feel like they're comfortable hitting, and they're actually hitting. It's not a mystery to them. So I gotta say that much. It's not time to screw around. It's business time. And like you said, Mariners, I would definitely bump them. I mean, I don't know, they're not division contenders, but they're playoff contenders. That's for sure. And then Baltimore, don't sleep on them either. I mean, they're a solid team. They really are. I don't think their pitching holds up. though. That's for sure.
Right, but hey, I mean, apparently Dean Kramer can shut out the White Sox, right? I mean, that's the part where we're talking about
that game. I really don't.
Oh, God, I mean, Johnny Cueto had a great game. They lost 4-0. All he needed was 4 runs, and that's kind of the saying that we've been having with the Sox team. So it's they can beat these teams. It's just they just can't beat themselves. And we saw today they didn't beat themselves, and they just put it to the Twins. And I think it's all about whatever you can do to bottle this up and bottle whatever you brought to the ballpark in this series. That's what's going to be important for the Sox because, Dean Kramer, that guy can't shut you out, right? Daniel Lynch, Brady Singer, you got to avoid these stinker games against them because, if you were able to, negate that side of the game, your pitching has been able to live up and they're able to beat these weaker lineups. So I'm excited. I think it could be one hell of a stretch. If you add up the 19 games against Minnesota and Cleveland and add up the 32 games against rebuilding teams, that's 51 games. So if the Sox go 44-7 in those games, they'll win 90 games.
That's it, huh? Just
that's it.
44-7.
That's it, guys.
4-7.
That's it. And hey, that's what I think Sox fans deserve because they're 3-6 against the Guardians this year and 4-6 against the Twins. So you're still looking up at those teams because you have not been able to take care of business this year against them. If you were able to have an above 500 record against the Twins and the Guardians right now, we wouldn't be in this position. If you just took care of business, we wouldn't be in this position. If we didn't walk, or if we weren't afraid to face Luis Arraez and just walked Byron Buxton, we might be in second place right now.
Or walk Trey Turner with 2 strikes. Let's not talk about that one. Yeah.
I do, and it's interesting you brought up the lineup thing too, because I think Tony has gotten some help, maybe we'll say that, from the people up above in the analytics department, just because it has felt really consistent and it hasn't felt too weird and it hasn't felt too out of there. So I do wonder, what the stats are for the Sox since June 9th, because that really feels like when the lineup switched and it felt like more of front office control of the lineup rather than Tony throwing out the lineup.
Sure.
Because we complain about it less.
Exactly. No, selfish plug. SonsOfHahnarchy Podcast, the one that I do with my buddy Tommy. We talked about this this morning. We did an episode this morning, and consistency in regard to the lineup and the front office just kind of, and it seems like less and less is being taken out of Tony's hands. Like maybe this is speculatory, but with Kenny Williams and his meeting, his clubhouse meeting,
his scorning,
and on top of that too, it just seems like Ethan Katz has been much more involved in talking with Tony before decisions are made to pull out pitchers. Miguel Cairo is in the mix, having conversations with batters. I just, maybe it's the cameras for NBC Sportsnet that are catching more of these things, but just watching the games on TV, it just seems like the rest of the coaching staff is a ton more active.
And I just looked this up. Since June 9th, that day where I think that was the day that the Sox ended up walking Trey Turner. But that is where the Sox truly started getting more lineup consistency. I think Andrew Vaughn ended up batting second in like 18 straight games. The White Sox are one of 2 teams to score over 200 runs since June 9th. The only team above them is the New York Yankees. Are they back?
They might be.
Are they back, folks?
They might be, folks.
Let's see what reinforcements might be on the way. Let's jump to the story coming out of Washington first, Steven, because apparently Juan Soto turned down a $440 million contract from the Washington Nationals. I believe our guy Hector Gomez said that the Nationals will try to offer him one more contract, but if he turns it down, Juan Soto, then they will look to trade him.
Yes.
They're looking to trade this guy. In 554 games, Juan Soto's hitting 293, 427, 540. He's slugging 540. He has 108 doubles, 117 homers, 8 triples, and an OPS plus of 160. MLB average is 100, so he's 60% better than the MLB average hitter. But not only that, Steve-O, Juan Soto is only 23 years old. So the reason why he might be getting a $440 million contract for 15 years is because he will not be 24 until October If you're trying to find people who are younger than me, Juan Soto is one of them. Wow. And for players 23 and younger, he has the second highest on-base percentage ever since 1920. He's got a better on-base percentage than Jimmy Fox was, or Mel Ott, or Albert Pujols, or Lou Gehrig, or Mickey Mantle. All those guys were at 400 or better. The only guy he doesn't beat is Ted fucking Williams. They want to trade that guy, Steven.
I mean, they don't. I guess they don't want to offer him $500 million. That's the kicker, right? Is Juan Soto the $500 million man? And if you ask me, if it's a 15-year contract, yeah,
sounds like a steal.
It sounds like. I mean, if I'm an owner of a Major League Baseball club and I have that much money, I'm doing it. I mean, the payout is unreal. You're getting a generational talent, and by generational talent, I mean the generation's talent. Yes. I mean, this is Mike Trout level. I mean, not defensively, he's not going to steal bases, but he's the best hitter I've seen in my lifetime since Barry Bonds.
He might be the best on-base getter or ability to get on base since Barry Bonds. He might be the best home run hitter since Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
He's only 23. The guy's going to have like 400 home runs before he's 30. And hey, at Jerry Reinsdorf, I know you probably know this, but your park factors for left-handers, weirdly enough, give you the best advantage for left-handed hitters hitting home runs in your ballpark.
But we don't want to sign lefty power bats.
But you don't want to sign. Kyle Schwarber was available. Bryce Harper was available.
Jock Peterson
twice was available. You got Adam Eaton and Gavin Sheets out there. So yeah, I would love to see Juan Soto in a White Sox uniform. I bet everyone would, but that's the big problem is Jerry spending money. Do you think it happens?
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
I'm sorry, folks. I hate to burst the bubble here. Doesn't matter who you throw on the table, what you're willing to give up, unless it's Cease, Robert, Montgomery. That probably does it. Honestly, those three headlined with some other pieces.
I said Kopech, Robert, Montgomery, Vera, and Colas.
Yeah, that probably does it.
I would do it.
That would do it. I don't know if I'm doing it right now, man. It's so much. I would just outbid everybody in free agency next year.
Right.
That would be fantastic, but it's not going to happen. I really don't want to see the White Sox. I mean, here's the thing. You've got a team that's just finally coming together, right? A team that seems to finally be getting its bearings underneath it. To kind of rip a lot of that structure up just to put Juan Soto here, not to guarantee he's going to be with the team next year. You can't do it, and it's not going to happen, especially with a team that should make the playoffs this year.
Well, right, and that's the thing, too. If you're trading for that guy, you have to sign him. You just can't let him walk. You can't trade Kopech and Robert and et cetera, and then just let that guy go out to the free market. But, hey, if the White Sox want to go and get him, I don't think I'd be upset. But let's look at the other players that might be available. Maybe they'll catch Steve-O's eye, or maybe a position will catch Steve-O's eye. These are the possible the players who are possibly available this trade deadline. It's at August 2nd this year, so it's pushed back a little bit. The draft is tonight, so you're going to have a couple weeks before the trade deadline gets going. But at catcher, Wilson Contreras is the best catcher available. He's playing for the Cubs right now. You got Josh Bell at first base, currently playing for the Nationals. You got Whit Merrifield, who just chose not to play for the Royals in this Toronto series, but he's the best second baseman on the market right now. Best third baseman on the market, Brandon Drury, the Cincinnati Red. The best shortstop on the market, Jose Iglesias out in Colorado. Ian Happ, David Peralta, Andrew Benintendi. Those are some outfielders that are available. Daniel Bard is an available reliever from Colorado. And your guy, Frankie Montas, is available
from
Oakland.
Absolutely.
If you're looking at just positions here, what really draws your eye for the Sox?
I'm thinking based on just needs of the lineup before positions. Because let's be real. I mean, corner outfield seems to be a problem for the White Sox, especially when it comes to staying healthy or production. So when I think of corner outfield, that's when I think of position need. But when I think of lineup need, I think of left-handed power bat. The White Sox have that-ish with Gavin Bonds, as people like to comment. But it's not working, okay? Gavin Sheets is not really your answer, especially if you're going to be a championship caliber ball club. If you want to take the next step, you got to go out and get somebody that's going to be your everyday DH that's going to smack the crap out of the ball. Right now, in free agency, there's 2 guys who really catch my eye. One of them can play outfield. One of them better not sniff the outfield, though our team has a love affair with sticking first baseman.
Who are you calling up? Or who you want to sign?
So I'll stick with the one that I don't want to see out in the field, and that's Josh Bell.
Okay.
Josh Bell is having a career year right now when it comes to offensive production. We haven't seen these kinds of numbers from Josh Bell since his rookie year in Pittsburgh. However, tail of the tape, I mean, he's hitting the ball far. He's hitting the ball well. I would love to see him in a White Sox uniform, and I think he really patches up that solid DH need that you need, that left-handed power bat. And I know we have a history as an organization of giving guys a chance at being left-handed power bats in the DH spot and them just absolutely floundering. Adam LaRoche, Adam Dunn. Luckily, Josh Bell does not have the first name Adam. So there's a plus side right there. And it's not a long-term contract. So right there. And Washington's looking to sell. Do it. I would absolutely go after Josh Bell. The second name would be, and I saw somebody rag on this name already, but I don't know why because he's having a great offensive year, is Jock Peterson. You've got a need for a corner outfielder. He can play corner outfield. He's not awesome defensively, but he's
Who is
better
on the White Sox?
I was going to say, he's better than Andrew Vaughn and Gavin Sheets out there. On top of that, he's hitting the crap out of the ball in San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why you don't want to fit him into that spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 15 home runs this year against right-handed pitching. So, I mean, that's a ton of power. That'd be the most home runs on the White Sox right now.
Yep.
And San Francisco isn't a great place to hit home runs. So, I mean, this guy's showing off his power, and you put him in guaranteed right field, he's probably going to put on a complete light show. And you bring up Josh Bell, too. His career OPS versus right-handed pitchers, 846. So that would be insane to add that to the lineup. And this year, his OPS is 899 versus right-handers and 888 versus left-handers. So he is just hitting the damn ball from both sides of the plate. Both guys would be great. I thought you were going to bring up Michael Conforto because Michael Conforto is still a free agent out there. He's a left-handed bat, and he can play the outfield. So, I mean, I know we brought him up to nauseum during the offseason, but he's still available. I mean,
I don't know if I'm willing to – and that's the nice thing is he'd be low risk, right? It's a possible low risk, high reward with Conforto. But right now, I think, with where this team is at, you want somebody that's proven themselves throughout this season so far. And right now, it's not just Conforto is coming off of an injury. It's Conforto is also coming off of a very rough 2021, especially at the plate. So something to think about there.
Alex says should be back for September, though. Eyeball emoji, so we'll see. I think relief pitching was probably something that I'd love to see added, and it doesn't have to be a big name. It doesn't have to be someone you're going to be using in the 8th or 9th or 7th inning. Get a guy and just fill out the depth for this because I don't need to see Jimmy Lambert in a playoff game coming out of the bullpen. I don't need to see Jose Ruiz coming out of the bullpen for a playoff game. I know he's been better.
I'm a Jose Ruiz believer.
You're just like Jordan. I also wouldn't love to see Tanner Banks out there as well. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think that getting more right-handed pitching or just getting more relief pitching would just be huge for this team just because I don't love the depth. And, Kyle Crick was some depth and he's still injured. Aaron Bummer was great and important to this team, but he's still injured. So I would just love, especially if Joe Kelly has something flare up or Graveman flare up or, God forbid, the thing with Liam continues to bug him. I would love just more depth for this bullpen. I know you mentioned you would love for the White Sox to go out and just be like the Braves and get like 6 guys and just fill out the depth of this team.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, don't put your focus on top tier players. Like, don't put your focus on all-stars and obviously like a Juan Soto, right? Just piece it together like the Braves did. I think that would be phenomenal. I think that's a lot of work for Rick Hahn. He tends to be the guy that's like, I'll just make a couple moves and we'll be content with that. Even last year, I was surprised that they went out and even made 3 moves, right? For Cesar, for
Tepera.
Kimbrel, and Tepera. But it's I would love to see them be a little bit more active. shuffle around some pieces and just kind of add to the depth, as you mentioned, depth. And depth plays, especially in the playoffs.
That would need for Leury Garcia to probably be off the team at this point, which I don't know if they would do.
Yeah.
He's probably the worst player right now depth-wise, so you'd probably need to circle him out. You talked about Adam Engel and his big-ass sunglasses. You're probably going to need to, cut him, but even though he's been good, I just don't think that the Sox would want to get rid of the depth that they have because they're so attached to their depth.
For sure.
Adam Engel's their guy. Leury's their guy. It just feels like they're too attached to their guys to actually make an aggressive move like that.
I don't get the attachment to Leury. Obviously, they gave him the contract, and that's a problem in and of itself. Adam Engel, he's there as a defensive replacement. And honestly, I mean, these hot streaks that he goes through are really nice. A.J. Pollock has been rough, too. I don't know what they're going to do about A.J. Pollock because you traded for him thinking he was going to be your everyday starter, and he, over his last, I don't know how many games it's been, but I think over the last month he's got a weighted runs created plus of something atrocious.
Yeah, he's been ugly
8.
out there. And we were looking at some of his numbers this year. You compare this to 2020, he's got the same K and walk rate, but the power has just been zapped. He's just not hitting the ball as hard as he has been throughout his career, so that's been tough to see. All right, real quick, we got one more roster thing to sort out. The catchers. Sebi's been hitting great. Reese had a double today, and Yasmani Grandal's coming back. So Sebi, this year, he's hit 288, 333, and slugged 450 for a .8 F-WAR. Reese McGuire batting 224, 261, and 280, slugging 280. He's got a .4 F-WAR. And then Yasmani Grandal, he's hitting 391, 575, and 652 in 8 rehab games so far. So what do the White Sox do when they need to call up Yasmani Grandal?
The graphic says it all right there. You got the picture of Yasmani. You got the picture of Sebi. Who's out of the picture? Reese McGuire. I really hate to give Reese a nice yank out of the 26 man right there, but it's gonna be time. Sebi has absolutely improved. I'm actually extremely impressed. I mean, Sebi is kind of like the Johnny Cueto of position players for me. Johnny Cueto has been a big surprise for me this year and how good he's been. Sebi Zavala has been extremely surprising, both defensively and offensively, because the big thing is I've talked with people who have been down there and watched Sebi Zavala play multiple times, particularly Dan Victor, who's a minor league guy, and he's like, Sebi Zavala is great defensively. He's got a lot to figure out still with the bat. Right now, it looks like he's starting to figure it out with the bat, which is phenomenal. Obviously, he doesn't have an option anymore, so you would have to cut him. I think you keep Sebi and you let Reese go at this point, unfortunately. I know Reese's arm behind the plate is phenomenal, but Sebi threw somebody out today.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I thought you had a great point. I mean, just he's out of the picture, right? I mean, at this point, Sebi's played his way into this spot. And Steve Stone mentioned it too, the offense working has now helped his defense. He was shit last year defensively. It was bad watching Sebi Zavala play defense catcher-wise.
Yeah, it wasn't
last
good
year.
either. Yeah.
But it feels like he's just more confident both at the plate and behind the dish. He's been great at outfield throws, scooping those and picking those clean off one hop. That's been real fun to watch. So I would love to see Sebi. I think it's going to be Sebi and Yasmani, closing this out. And we mentioned Colson Montgomery too, just to close out the first half. He had a first inning home run for the Winston-Salem Dash. So now he's got an on-base streak up to 50 games in high A, yet he wasn't invited to the Futures game. Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I heard he was a big snub for the Futures game. It was nice to see Oscar Colas make a nice catch in center field, though, right?
In center field, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was athletic, diving out, just like Leury Garcia.
Well, hey, remember who else made a great play in the Futures game in the outfield, too, who's currently on our roster?
Luis Basabe? Oh, Did he?
Yeah, he like reached out into the stands and made a catch over the wall in foul territory. So
I don't remember
who knows? Maybe this is an omen.
Yeah, we saw what happened with Eloy in foul territory when he got up to the big leagues. So.
Exactly. The net. Eloy versus the net.
Will it be Oscar Colas, future center fielder, or Luis Robert? We will see.
Yikes.
But I bring up Colson Montgomery because today's the draft. July 17th is the draft.
Yes.
We will be recapping this tomorrow. Herb will be back, and we'll have James Fox on of Future Sox to talk about the MLB draft. The White Sox are picking 26th in the first round today. Steve, you talked about what you hope for the Sox in the draft today. What are you expecting for the Sox?
I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you, because this organization just continues to surprise me year after year with their draft picks. There's never any rhyme or reason. It seems like in past years, it's always been, hey, we're going to go out and get a polished guy in college, right? We're going to go get the Andrew Vaughn. We're going to go get Carson Fulmer. We're going to go get Zach Collins, Zach Birdie as well. But it seems like the guys who have amazing tools are the dudes that end up panning out for the White Sox. The guys who are freakish athletically or have or that are very toolsy and can hone in on that talent are the guys that really succeed within this organization outside of the Andrew Vaughn pick. So I think of guys like Tim Anderson, right? Came from JUCO, if I'm not mistaken, right? And the guy absolutely, they honed in on those skills and they said, hey, we're going to stick with you. And look what he turned out to be, right? Colson Montgomery, I feel the same way about. I mean, this guy has been phenomenal so far. So I'm hoping that they continue to go with a toolsy approach. A guy where, hey, he's got the raw talent. He's young. He's a prep player. Let's give him some time in the system and let him work through it, right? Except for Courtney Hawkins. Yeah, that's a really bad example. The backflip. That's all we got to remember is the backflip. And then also starting arms or just arms in general. I think the system is very, very lacking.
We need lefties.
Well, they're just lacking in general.
System.
I mean, they got the worst prospect pool.
The prospect pool is rough, but especially when it comes to arms. I mean, they are just really, really low and don't have that top-tier talent. So
and listen to the Future Sox podcast. There's a lot of college arms that might be available for the Sox. Some of them are injured, though, so they might stick another year. But also with college guys, they might just sign for the slot, so you might not need to worry about that. And what we've seen with the Sox is that they've been really aggressive in the second round, over-slotting players and going and get players that might have been in the first round, like Wes Kath, another guy who was a prep bat.
Yep, absolutely.
In the second round, they overspent on that slot to go out and get him. And since May 29th, he's hitting 243, 352, 429.
Yeah, dude, it's pop.
Down in single A, which isn't great for Kannapolis. It's 780 OPS, but it's been much worse, and he's getting better. And this is a kid that's only 19 years old. Not everyone can be Colson Montgomery.
Exactly. One's your first round pick for a reason, and has been, is cracking top 50 and top 100 boards for a reason,
Right. And, blank name brings up Kumar Rocker. That'd be an interesting name for sure.
It would be.
That's a guy that has all the tools like Garrett Crochet. Maybe the Sox just throw him into the bullpen. Hey, Kumar, welcome to the big leagues,
Right.
Try to give us some length. So it will definitely be interesting to see what happens with the Sox. Jim Callis of MLB.com is saying Drew Gilbert, outfielder from Tennessee, will be the pick. And Jonathan Mayo of MLB.com is saying Tucker Toman, the third baseman out of Hammond High School in Columbia, South Carolina, would be the pick for the Sox. And then Future Sox has Josh Nelson has the Sox going with Blade Tidwell, and then James Fox is going Tucker Toman. On that side. So we'll see what happens. All four of those are bats, though. So maybe first round bat, and then they go really arm heavy later on in the draft.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, especially with arm. I mean, I feel like it's much more common to see these lower round arms develop into solid major league options, right? Whereas these lower option bats usually aren't the guys that make it up, right? And make an impact. So you hear a lot more about these, 13th round or 17th round guys being pitchers, not bats. So
Right. I mean, Mark Burley in the 36th round or something like that.
Perfect
There's no guys hiding out there. But yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Sox and where they end up going, and we'll see if they take the tools or they take the youth, and we'll see how they build on the 28th ranked prospect pool. Thank you, Alex Rude, for correcting me on that one. They're not the worst in baseball. They're just the third worst. That makes me feel much, much better. But having Steve-O here made me feel much, much better. He was absolutely fantastic today. Make sure, A, you listen to the Sons of Hahnarchy podcast. Him and Hot Take Tommy do a fantastic job. You can follow him on Twitter, @DrunkShySoxFan.
Killed it. You got it that time.
Yeah, thank you. And go check out Steve-O on the 108 tourney.
Oh, yes. The content in March is...
Was that the bracket reveal?
Oh, the bracket reveal. Yeah, I should probably repost that video.
That was a hell of fun.
Yeah, somebody commented earlier on the pregame show that sober Steve-O is much better and gives some great insight to baseball compared to the 108 tourney where I was very, very intoxicated.
But it was very, very entertaining. So sober or drunk, Steve-O does a great job. Appreciate everyone for hanging out with us.
Whoa. Hold on, Sean. We're bearing the lead here. I got something to play for us.
Oh, yes. Let's not forget.
There, baby! There he is!
You did it. That is our White Sox math winner right here. Our Sox math winner, Sean Anderson. Congrats. You got the video coming up.
Thank you
It's
so
going to be
much.
after the All-Star break.
Speech.
All right, well, I'll give a speech. You know, I've been doing this playing Sox math for, forever, honestly, at this point in my life. And now it's all come to fruition. First off, watch out Jordan Lazowski. Watch out Beef Loaf. Watch out C. Strens. If you've won Sox math before, you're never going to win it again. All right, so that's the first thing. And second of all, I'm just really excited for Saturday. We got a lot of days here, I think 5 days, to figure out what we're going to do on the #SoxMath video. So, you know, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be fun. Maybe we just invite as many people as possible to be in the video, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So stay tuned. I think it's Saturday is a doubleheader, so it's going to be in Game 1 of the doubleheader against the Guardians. But I won my first Sox match, people.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Sean.
Thank you very much.
Air horns for
Very worth
days.
it.
Incredible. Well, thank you for having me on, Sean. This has been amazing. Shout out to CHGO. Make sure you guys are subscribed to them if you're not already. Fantastic dudes over here. I feel absolutely honored and blessed to be here today. So,
and like Alex said, don't forget to push your super secretive podcast with Carrie.
all right, one last
there you
shout
go.
out. So, yes, more news will be coming out. I am still with Sons of Hahnarchy. You can follow us on Twitter @SonsOfHahnarchy. But I'll be starting a new project with my buddy Carrie. That's @ThatBaseballFan on Twitter. Two Sox fans who are going to be talking Southside baseball and so much more. So be on the lookout for a new project. It'll be coming out soon.
And as you can tell, Steve-O is fantastic. And as Corey Friedman of CHGO Cubs would tell you, and as I would tell you, Carrie is the worst. So, you know, it's going to be a great dynamic of a good guy and bad guy on that one. So shout out to Steve-O, shout out to Carrie, shout out to Hot Take Tommy, shout out to everybody for being in here as well in the live chat. I really appreciate you guys, and we'll try to do you proud on Sox Math on Saturday. But we'll have a show tomorrow. 2:30 p.m. is the start time for that. Herb Lawrence will be back, and we will be recapping the MLB draft and the Sox picks in the first and second round. And James Fox will join us around 3 p.m. as well to give us more insight into those players. And then, of course, on Tuesday, we'll be doing a All-Star Game show. We'll have Cody and I was going to say Ken. Luke. Who's Ken Stuckmeyer? Luke Stuckmeyer of the CHGO Cubs show. And then Herb and I doing the pre- and post-game show for the All-Star Game. So it should be fun. We'll have an off day on Wednesday. We'll have a off-day show on Thursday, and then a live pre- and post-game show on Friday. Appreciate everyone for hanging out. Appreciate Steve-O for being here. Appreciate
Pleasure.
Steven, our producer. And thank you to
Props.
Fleetwood Mac for their 1979 album, Tusk. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Go White Sox.